Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony, and if you're following me, you know that we're right in the middle of building another amazing Armortek model. This time it's the 1:6 scale Series 1 Land Rover. When we left off last time, I had assembled the number plates. Sorry, I was trying to find it there. I'd assembled the number plates and done my own sort of detailing on that. Just putting those to one side for the moment. And then we did the capping pieces for the rear flatbed or the rear body of the Series 1 Land Rover, so they're ready to go on when the time comes. And in today's session, it's all about getting the flatbed rear body section assembled, and there is a heap of parts and fixings required to get this completed. So I'm going to manage my own expectations today, and I'm going to do the parts that I want to get the sort of the flatbed assembled. If I get time, I'll get some primer on it and get it painted, and then probably that will be it for this session, because you know, once you've got it primed and painted, you don't want to really be handling it too much until it's really, the paint's gone off and cured correctly. So ahead of all of that, I went ahead and I did my wheel arch mod, as you probably saw I did for the front. I didn't film that because you saw what I did on the front, exactly the same process, and this is all now rubbed down, beautifully smooth and ready for painting when the time comes. So that's done. Now we're going to crack on and start doing the main flatbed at the back. The first thing they ask us to do is this rear door assembly, which is lovely, but I'm not going to bother with that just yet. I'm going to skip and then go on to the main flatbed and then come back and do this, and I'll explain why in a moment. So as I would normally do, I'm going to reposition the camera and we'll get started. Right, so I'm not quite sure which sequence is the best way to go, or they don't actually suggest which sequence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this, what I assume is the rear seat on the flatbed, to the wheel arch to start with. It can only go one way, and it does say that keep all the fixings loose until such time you've got the whole flatbed assembled. It includes this back part here. So I'm tempted to get these tightened, put some thread locker on these, because I don't think that's going to affect anything, both sides. So I'm going to basically do both sides, then I'm going to do the main flatbed itself, and then I'm going to attach this rear part here, or the front part of the flatbed here. So that's my plan. So I've got all my fixings ready, I've got a little bit of thread locker, and I think we're good to go. So I'm going to start the process off. So this simply just fits like that, and I'm just going to put a clamp, a little mini clamp on that, just to hold that into position while I line those up. Now I'm going to get one of these tiny M2 4mm countersunk fixings, load that up, put a bit of thread locker on that, and I'm going to go through, excuse me, I'm going to go through the middle one to start with. Going to hold that in place, retrieve one of my tiny little M2 nuts, there's a couple of my followers and subs that have suggested using a medical forceps, and I think that's a great idea. So I've actually gone ahead and ordered one of those, or a set of those. So thanks all the guys that have recommended that. I think that's an excellent idea. So I can take that clamp off now, and you can see that that's the start of it. So we'll just have, there's another two fixings to go in here. Again, just a little bit of thread lock. I'm quite happy to tighten these up, although it does say not to. I think these will be fine. And again, because these are so fragile, don't overturn them or don't over tighten, because what you don't want to do is round off the actual, you know, you don't want to damage the head of the fixing. Now I could fill these and paint them, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that. think once it's painted it will be quite unnoticeable. And the last one on this side. Of course, being the last one, it's going to be awkward, as it always is. Oh dear, if I turn the camera off, I know this will go on straight away. It's just what happens. Right, let's try another way of doing that. Right, camera's going off because this is going in.
A few moments later.
First time, and it goes in straight away. Don't know what it is. It's the camera playing tricks with us. So that's it. I'm going to do the other side now, and then we're going to do the main flatbed part. So I'll pop that out of the way, and we'll go again on this side. Where I've backfilled the wheel arch, I've had to scratch off a little bit of this because it does, if you like, it did interfere with that. So now that's all nice and clean. I'm happy with that. So just as before, just put a clamp on that, just to hold that in place. Spin that around so it's easier. And we'll go again. Just line up that middle hole. That's in there. I've ordered some of those medical forceps, and I can't wait till they come. I don't know why I didn't think of that before, so thanks so much for this suggestion, guys. It's just every day is a school day, right? As I said before many times, I'm not an expert and I'm learning all the time, so that just needs to be tightened up a bit more. That's better. Just spin that round so that's lined up with the holes, and we can put the last two in. I think once this is done and we get to this stage, and we get the body completed, I'm going to start looking at the wiring for the lighting, because I'm not happy. I've got to try and work out, if you like, how best to do that, because I don't want to see the cables. So obviously, I think the wiring loom that Armortek sends you, I think has to be disconnected, all taken apart, so you can route the cables out of the way and then reconnect up using the connector block that they give you. And I think that what I'm going to try and do is get the majority of the cables onto the chassis, and then, if you like, cable tied. Here we go again. This is going to be awkward because the camera's on. It's always the last one, isn't it? Oh, those forceps can't come quick enough. Right, you watch. Camera's going to go off and this is going to go straight in. Madness.
More moments later.
Exactly. Done. Right, so right, so that's both sides done. Now we're gonna my plan is to bolt the floor to this and then bolt everything to the back panel, which will be the front of the back, if you like. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll go and get all my fixings for that and I'll be straight back. Right, just before we install the seats to the flatbed, just need to get the spare wheel well out. Just reseal that bag up and pop that there, and then this gets installed from this side underneath that, and that fits in there beautifully. These are going to be fixed with 2.5 butt fixings, and I've got those somewhere. These are the 2.5 butt fixings, just checking. Yes, got them, these ones here. And what we'll do is we'll hold that up, pop that in, bit of thread locker in that, pop that through like that, and then get corresponding nut. I'm not going to tighten these up just yet. I'll keep them fairly loose till we get them all installed. That would help if I put some thread locker on that, wouldn't it? This is me keen to get on. Corresponding nut. And now we'll put the last two in, and then I'll tighten all these up. Seems like we're really motoring now and getting on quite well. It's been a while since, you know, it took a while to get past the sort of detailing side, but I think it was a worthwhile investment of time, because, as I said before, you know, the finished model in the end, with all the extra little bits of detail and everything else, I think you'd be pleased that you took the time to do it. So well worth that. But we can really start seeing in a very short period of time, it's starting to come together. I mean, we're nowhere near done, because I've still got to sort out finally do all the sort of the front sort of seating area, and of course the canopy and all the electronics. So we've got a way to go yet on this model, but I'm really pleased how it's gone, and I'm so pleased that I made the decision to get one of these, because I love building the tanks, but this has been a really lovely experience as well, and I've learned loads, and I think the experience of this is going to help me when I go on to do my next planned model. So that's that flatbed done with the spare wheel well done. Next thing we're going to do is install these onto the flatbed. Right, so now we can start putting the seat panels onto the flatbed. Now just be mindful that there's a wrong way and a right way to put these. May seem obvious, but make sure that you're putting the slanted side at the back. You want this wider fixing here at the back. Yeah, it's a simple mistake you could probably make. I'm just looking at it thinking, well, maybe it is something you could do as a mistake. Now I'm not going to put any thread locker on these just yet, because it does ask for these to be kept loose, and I guess that's because when it comes into trying to attach the back panel, it's quite important to make sure that you've got a bit of movement. So I'm just going to tighten that up, but not too tight. And then pop that in there. Not too tight, because there has to be a bit of movement front to back, because this back panel is actually slotted. I don't know if you can see that. There's a slot in there, and that allows that to move backwards and forwards. So quite important to keep that loose at this stage, and then once we've got this panel at the back here, we can probably start thinking about tightening up. Let's get the next one on. So that's the right side. Yes, it is. Now a little bit more awkward. but I'm sure we can get around this. So this is going to go through that into that, and then just get this loosely attached. And that's it, ready for the back panel to go on, which I think goes that way. So I'll just go and make sure I've got all the right fixings for this, and I'll be straight back. Right, so try and get on with installing this now, and these are 2.5 by 5 mil butt fixings, which I've got all ready to go, and the corresponding nuts. And we'll soon find out why they want you to have this quite loose, I guess. So what we'll do is just going to turn that up like that to start with. Yeah, you can see why. I mean, it's all a little bit, you need to make sure all this is all lined up, and the butt fixings will be presented from the other side with the nuts. So let's do this side first. Let's do this bottom piece first, so I can get that sort of installed. Yeah, so I'm going to present the head through this direction. Just going to put a little bit of thread locker on this, because it does take a little while to come to set, if you like. Pop that through that, into that. Get the nut. Just loosely. So go again, same. Corresponding nut. Yeah, those forceps can't come here quick enough. Yeah, come on. If you're not careful, this is going to end up in the bloopers tape. Right, okay, that's right, that's in there now. Again, just ever so loose, very loose, as you can see, all very loose. So that's that. Turn that round and just see if we can get these lined up. Same deal. It's a race against time. Don't want this thread locker to go off. That's in there. This is going to be jolly awkward. Would you believe it? The nut's got in the worst possible position there. So just pop that out. Right, and I'll find that fixing in a minute. There we go. Right, just entertain yourselves at home while I struggle with this. It can't be this awkward. There we go. I'm probably making it awkward. So if you're doing this at home, trust me, it's probably not as awkward as I'm making it look. There. That on there. There we go. Just those big old sausage fingers again, getting in the way. There's that missing fixing there. I'm hurrying up a little bit because I know that although the thread locker takes a little while to go off, I don't want it to go off too quickly and then left struggling to tighten these up. So that's gone in a lot easier. And then we've got another 2 fixings, which are the ones down the bottom. And again, you can see why, I think you can see why everything needs to be kept loose. Just realised I need a couple of more nuts. And let's just have a look at that. So they need to go in front ways this way, this time. So from this side. And this is not playing ball. It will do now. That's that. Just put a nut on the end of that. And once I get all this on, I'm fairly happy that I can start tightening all this up. I know I've got to do the front piece, but I want to get all this tight. So I'm going to go tighten. I'm going to tighten this up now. Hold that on the back of that. It's nice and tight. And the last fixing. Now I'm going to go around and tighten all of the other ones up, having a certain degree of confidence that's all going to be tickety-boo. So let's do that. Tighten this. That's nice and tight. I mean, you definitely going to have to thread lock all of these because they go through a lot of vibration and they will work themselves loose, these fixings. So definitely worth thread locking them. I've just thread locked my arm there, just dropped it into the little dish for a thread lock. Brilliant. As I keep saying, warts and all, I'll try and show you all the parts of the build, frustrating parts, and yeah, let's go and wipe that off, otherwise I'll be getting stuck. So that's it. That's the rear of the body, or the flatbed, which will sit, I won't show you, it's out of camera, but it sits on top of the rear of the chassis. And it's incredible to think that as soon as this is on, what a difference. I just realised I've got to tighten these bad boys up, so let's do that now. Wonder what all the rattling was. If you're wondering whether I put thread locker on these, I did. Just before I'll put it on the top of in between the nut and the bit of metal before I put the back on. That's it, nothing rattling now. Nice, really starting to come together, isn't it? Okay, onwards and upwards to the next part. Right, so I've zoomed in a little bit more just so we can see what's going on here. So this is the rear panel that goes on the flatbed, and there's some parts that I need to install on this ahead of installing it onto the main flatbed body itself. And all the parts I'm going to install are really all to do with when I get painted in the RAF blue. I'm going to be leaving certain parts off because I want those to be a galvanized finish. Strictly speaking, this is not exactly how a Series 1 would look. In fact, the tailgate, which itself is here, That would normally be sort of framed in aluminium, but I just don't see how I can do that, because this internal frame would be painted, and then this has got an external frame, a little bit like the capping, you know, that we did for the tailgate itself, would have gone round this. But I'm sure it'll be fine. So what I'm going to do in a moment, I'm not going to do anything to this just yet. I'm going to pop that to one side. I want to get these done. So there's a flat bar, let's say a flat bar, it's a square bar that goes on the back of this. And this comes in your kit, but you may have to look for it. It's one of the many bags that you will find. I'm going to line that up, and all the holes perfectly align as you'd expect. Now on here, there are holes both sides, but on this side it's been countersunk, and I think that's the right way to approach it, to present the countersunk holes forward, drop that into position, and then that is secured in with the little hinge brackets, if you like, for the tailgate. I'm going to put a bit of thread locker on that, and I'm just going to wind that in. And it's important that this lines up so that when the tailgate goes in, it's perfectly lined. I can see that that needs to be wound in a lot more. So I'm just going to use this tool just to wind that in. Got some way to go yet. Okay, so that is as far as it's going to go. Don't try and force it round. What's really important is to make sure that this is parallel, if you like, here. And if you try and force it round, you could damage it. So obviously you've got the thread locker on it, so it will lock into place. So exactly the same this side. Just getting that to go around. It's got a bit more to go. There we go. That's as far as that's going to go. I don't want to over tighten it. That will go off once the thread locker sets, so that's fine. So there's those two, and what will happen is the tailgate will present itself in there like so, with a couple of pins through there. I think it's a pin. I guess it'll be a pin. We'll find out sure enough, or soon enough, I should say. And that's effectively how that's going to look. As I said, normally this you'd expect to see this with an aluminium frame. But I'm still deliberating over whether that's, but it wouldn't be right. Either way, it wouldn't be right. So I'll pop that away for now. So that's all got to be bolted together. And I'm just going to wait for that to go off a bit more. And next thing are these beautiful little lights here. Now there's a hole through the back, there's a hole through the back of this, as you can see, and that's what you're going to present your rear lights into. Obviously I've got to work out how I'm going to dress the cables, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix these onto this, then I'm going to mask off the red reflector so that we don't get any paint on that. So these are fixed in with some tiny M2 cap fixings. Making sure I've got the right tool. That'll be the right tool. Definitely need thread locker on this. Present that from the back. And what you must do, once we've got this in position, just make sure that the hole for the light, where the light will come in from the rear, is perfectly aligned, and it also is aligned with how front and square it should be. Do that by eye. Hold that in place, tighten that up just a little bit out. Okay, unwind that a little, just a tad. I'm just not happy with the alignment of that. do is I'll leave that for now, get the other side in, and then put a straight edge on it. All these beautiful details that really finish the model off. And again, with all these small fixings, these M2 fixings in particular, really be careful about how you tighten them up. Don't over tighten them. So I'm going to get a little straight edge on that and see how that looks. Sorry, let's come out of picture just a minute. So let's do that. Got this aluminium flat bar I've used before to create my cappings. I'll make sure that they're nice and flat. Oops. Push down on that so it doesn't turn, and tighten those up. Perfect. So that's the lights in position, hinges in position, and then the only other thing I think I need to do before I go ahead and install this would be these two little pin retainers, the split pin retainers that come in from the back, and I think they're just Loctite in position. And there's a tiny little hole for a split pin. Don't know if you can see that tiny little hole in that for a split pin. So these will go in through the back of that. And you want that hole so that when you put the pin in, it sits vertically, like so. So let's get some glue on the back of that. Get some Loctite. Just going to go on the back. Try and position it as best as possible in the orientation you want. That doesn't want to go in, it needs to be encouraged, I think. All right, needs a little bit of gentle persuasion. In, and oops, just make sure that that is in the right orientation, and it is. Well, I nearly lost that one. Same again. And again, just make sure that that is aligned as we want it, straight. That's that. Now, that, as far as I'm concerned, is all I'm going to do before I assemble this and put it onto the main body. There are little reflectors that go on, which are beautiful little things here, but I'm not going to put these in place just yet. I'm going to wait until it's painted. We've also got these retaining cleats here, which go here, but I'm not going to bother putting those on just yet, because these I'm going to leave in the raw metal or galvanized. So the next thing really is to get this onto the main body. Right, so just before we go ahead and fix this onto the back here, one thing you need to be mindful of, if you are indeed putting the lighting kit in, which I am, you can see there's a little cutout here in the back of this, which I can only assume, it's not clear on the instructions, but I can only assume it's for the lighting, or the cable for the lighting. And that's perfect, so I can run the cables through there. Now I've disconnected the rear lights and the LEDs from the main lighting loom, so I can feed these through. But what I want to do first is, just using a very small circular file, take off the sharp edge of that. Sorry, this is going to be a bit loud. You don't have to do too much. Just that's better. You just don't, there's a really sharp edge. So just by that's better. It's just in case I damage the cable, and I don't want to do that. So now I've got that, I can take this cable and I pop it just in there. I give myself plenty of cable, spare cable. A bit of masking tape. Stick that down to the body for now, just to stop that from going anywhere. Do the same on this side. It's just that the LED bulb itself is just a bit too wide to go through that hole, and you don't want to be forcing it and damaging anything, especially damaging the cables. Let's just turn that around, and I'm just going to secure this cable loosely in the back, like so. Let's do that properly. Just to stop it from getting in the way. There's no instructions that tell you to do this, so this is how I've kind of worked it out. Hopefully, if you are doing a lighting kit, this is going to help you, or certainly help you plan ahead. So now these are in, I don't have to worry about damaging these cables and pulling them through. Now comes a tricky bit, this bit, getting these tiny little fixings into place. And these are, let me turn this around. These are, if I'm right, these are tiny little M4 gauge fixings. I can get them through there, I can get one through there, just needs to be encouraged. I think we'll do one side and then push this together. It's just getting the nut on the back with my big old sausage fingers again. It's going to be interesting. So I'm going to have a go doing this on camera, but if it proves to be difficult, I'll turn the camera off, throw some profanity at it, and you'll be miraculously fine. It'll all be done. So let's try and do it. I'll tell you what, the bottom one looks the most favourable. So I'm just going to push that. That's the first one. Let's just leave that hold. Get a nut on the end of it. Holding my breath. Going yet? No. We got that. Ooh, lovely. So that one's that in and nice and tight. So the bottom one is the first one gone in. I'm really pleased that that's gone in without too much trouble. I'm now confident that I can do the other side. He knocked it over. Brilliant. So a bit of thread locker on that. Line that up. Fixing through the top, do the same again. So far so good. Let's have a look. Second time, we're going to be good. I think so. Wow, okay. Whew. So that's that. Now we've just got the really tricky ones. These ones at the back, so I'm going to do this side first. I might actually put a clamp on that. Will that work? Put a clamp on it. Yes. Perfect. Need that to hold it there. Get the fixing loaded up on my driver, thread locker, and now some good old-fashioned hope. I'll take that off, don't need that now. See if I can get this just to stay on my finger. I'll tell you what, it might be easier for me to just turn that over and go that side. There we go, lost the fixing. This could be another one that goes on the blooper video. Oh, actually, I've only done it. Just hold that. Come on. Brilliant. Excellent. Let's hope the other one is just as easy. So do the same again, I think. Put the clamp on it. Just while I'm getting the fixing in. There we go. Same deal, just use that to rest. There we go. Take the clamp off. Fixing's already there, so that's all good. I'm going to try and do exactly the same. I'm going to do it handed. So let's get that tool locked in, and then just holding the back of that nut, hopefully. I'll get it picked up. No. This could be one that goes in the bloopers as well. Let's see. Let's try again. Oh, that feels good. Right, we go. We're in. So that's actually not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Just use the long nose pliers on that. Just drop my file on the floor. No problem. So that's in. Really good. Really pleased with that. So that is that. All ready for painting. So now I'm going to go and get this cleaned up. I'll get it primed and we'll get it painted, and then we'll go on and talk about the tailgate. Right, so that's the body painted. Really pleased how it's come out. Going to be careful because I only painted it about half an hour, 40 minutes ago, so I'm only going to handle this very, very gently. But I just want to talk you through a couple of things. I didn't film the painting of this because you've seen a lot of my painting videos before, but I did some still photographs for the progress, and Ben will probably do a montage of that leading up to this point. So just a couple of tips. I masked off the lenses, the red lenses for the rear lights, just to protect those from the paint, and I glued the LED into the back of this, and carefully, when the glue was set, carefully just bent them over and then got them pulled through. You know, we sort of, I showed you what we did earlier on with this sort of cableway here, pulled them through and just covered them with paint so you can't really see them. One thing I'm going to do now is to test to make sure the lights are working. The last thing you want to do is do a lot of messing around with the lights and gluing them and everything else, and then find out that later on in the build that they don't work. So I've got a 9-volt battery which I've just plugged in, and you can see they're working. I just love that. I just think they look so good. Really, really smart. Beautiful. So we know they're working. I just unplugged that. Yeah, the last one, if you imagine, if you don't do this test and you just assume they're still working, and you get to the end of the build and you plug it into your radio and it's not working, you've got to try and trace back to find the problem. So that would have been a bit of a nightmare. So I'm not going to do any more today because this I want this paint to cure properly overnight, and then I've got to decide what I'm going to do with this tailgate, because this should, if you like, have an aluminium box frame around it. Obviously this is the frame, but it's not right. You know, I'm not criticising Armortek at all, but when I'm looking at my reference books, there should be a capping piece that goes across the top here, and this frame should be framed, if you like, by a galvanised or raw metal aluminium frame. Not the case. And I want to try and paint it so it's as close to the real thing, and I haven't decided how to do that yet, but I'm gonna sleep on that and then decide what to do at a later stage. So that is it for today. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and thank you if you have joined me. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. We have a long way to go on this Series 1 Land Rover. There's a lot more work to do. And again, a massive thank you to all of you who support my channel, all your amazing comments, all the thumbs up. It means the world to me. And thanks again, obviously, for making this possible. So I will sign off by saying I'm Tony. I love building these kits, and I look forward to seeing you in my next session.